My name is Albert, and welcome to Unknown Facts, where we explore the obscure. In the final moments of life, a peculiar tradition often takes place: the last meal. It's a ritual that's both personal and public, a final act of choice when all others are gone. Sometimes these choices are so unusual, they become a story in themselves, a final cryptic message to the world. Today, we delve into 9 of the strangest last meal requests ever recorded for posterity. We'll explore the symbolism, defiance, and oddity behind these final culinary choices. If you find these stories compelling, please subscribe and like this video. Our journey begins, a descent into the unsettling intersection of the mundane and the monstrous. We delve into the final moments of notorious figures, examining their last meals as a window into their psyche. What do these choices reveal about their state of mind, their regrets, or their defiance in the face of impending justice? Today we focus on John Wayne Gacy, the infamous killer clown of Chicago, a name that sends shivers down the spines of those familiar with his horrific crimes. He was a pillar of the community, a party clown and a serial killer, a terrifying duality that continues to fascinate and horrify. Responsible for at least 33 murders, a number that underscores the scale of his depravity, Gacy's last meal was surprisingly ordinary, a stark contrast to the extraordinary evil he perpetrated. It was a carefully curated selection of comfort foods, a final indulgence before facing the consequences of his actions. He requested a bucket of fried chicken, fried shrimp, a seemingly simple pleasure, French fries, and strawberries. A combination that speaks of Americana, of simple joys and familiar tastes. Before his descent into darkness, Gacy managed KFC restaurants, a detail that adds another layer of complexity to his final meal choice. This meal was a direct link to his former seemingly normal life, a life before the murders, before the infamy. It begs the question, was he longing for that lost normalcy? Was it nostalgia for innocence, a yearning for a time when he was just John Gacy, the KFC manager, or a calculated act to appear simple and relatable, a final attempt to manipulate public perception even in his last hours? The contrast is chilling. The juxtaposition of his monstrous acts with the banality of his final meal. A man of monstrous deeds choosing a meal of family comfort, a meal that evokes feelings of warmth, security, and simpler times. Each item, chicken, shrimp, fries, strawberries, a seemingly innocuous collection of food, echoed a life he'd left behind, a life irrevocably tainted by his horrific actions. Consumed in the shadow of execution, a final act played out under the weight of his crimes, the meal reminds us that evil can wear a familiar face, that monsters can hide behind a facade of normalcy. Gacy's final request lingers, a haunting reminder of the complexities of human nature, unsettling in its normalcy and the questions it raises about the man behind the mask, the man who could both entertain children and commit unspeakable acts. The plate was cleared, the last meal consumed, but the memory of his last meal endures, a chilling testament to the banality of evil. Sometimes the most ordinary choices are the most haunting, offering a glimpse into the darkest corners of the human soul. Now we turn our attention to the curious case of Victor Feguer. His story is a stark reminder of the profound symbolism that can be found in the most unexpected places, even in the face of imminent death. Feguer's last meal request was strikingly simple, almost austere: a single olive. Just one. And, adding another layer of intrigue to this final act, the olive was requested with the pit still inside. This wasn't just about sustenance, it was a deliberate choice, a statement of sorts. Victor Feguer holds the somber distinction of being the last person executed in the state of Iowa. His crime, though significant, is overshadowed by the enigma of his final meal. In the face of his impending execution, Feguer made a request that was, on the surface, baffling in its utter simplicity. It was a request that has echoed through the years, sparking curiosity and speculation. The olive itself, a symbol deeply rooted in human history, has represented peace, victory, and prosperity for millennia. It was consumed, a small act with potentially enormous meaning, but the story doesn't end there. After his execution, the olive pit was discovered in his burial suit, tucked away as a final, silent testament. One can only wonder at the intentions behind this act. Was he hoping for some form of redemption in the afterlife? Was it a gesture of repentance? Or perhaps, was he harboring a secret wish for an olive tree, a potent symbol of new beginnings, resilience, and hope, to miraculously grow from his grave, a testament to life after death? This single olive, This humble request stands in stark and poignant contrast to the elaborate feasts often associated with last meals, the extravagant displays of culinary excess. Its power doesn't lie in its flavor or its nutritional value, but rather in the profound meaning it carries, the weight of symbolism it bears. Fager's seemingly simple choice transforms a humble fruit, a common staple, into a profound and enduring message, a riddle wrapped in an olive. It's a haunting and unforgettable reminder that sometimes the smallest, most insignificant-seeming object can carry the greatest weight of meaning, the most profound significance. Facing the ultimate end, staring into the abyss, he planted a seed, not in the earth, but in the collective consciousness. A seed of peace, perhaps a desperate plea for tranquility in the face of unimaginable fear, a seed of hope, a fragile ember in the darkness, or perhaps simply a plea for forgiveness, both from himself and from the world. And so, the story of Victor Fager's single olive, a solitary request in the face of death, remains a haunting and enduring legend among the annals of last meals, a testament to the power of symbolism and the enduring mysteries of the human spirit. Some last meals are strange for what's left behind. Ricky Ray Rector, executed in Arkansas, requested steak, fried chicken, cherry Kool-Aid, and pecan pie. He ate everything but left the pie untouched, telling a guard he was saving it for later. This childlike statement became a symbol for those who argued against his execution, suggesting he didn't grasp the finality of his fate. The uneaten pie raised questions about justice and competency. It's a poignant image, a slice of pie, left for a future that would never come. Rector's meal wasn't about food, but about the chilling innocence of his final words. Sometimes the most powerful statements are the simplest. Teresa Lewis, executed in Virginia, chose a meal of Southern comfort: fried chicken, sweet peas with butter, German chocolate cake, apple pie, and 2 Dr. Peppers. Her case drew attention due to questions about her mental capacity and culpability. The meal evoked home and warmth, a final moment of solace. The 2 desserts and sodas added a personal, everyday touch. There was no grand statement, just a quiet retreat into comfort and memory. For Lewis, it was a last taste of something normal before the end. Her meal was a final act of self-care, heartbreakingly simple. Sometimes comfort is the only thing left to choose. Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber, requested only 2 pints of mint chocolate chip ice cream. No steak, no feast. Just a cold, sweet treat. The choice is jarring, a childhood favorite for a man responsible for unimaginable violence. Was it a genuine pleasure or a final act of contempt for the ritual? The coldness of the ice cream mirrors the coldness of his crime. Alone in his cell, McVeigh's last meal was a solitary indulgence, devoid of warmth or remorse. It's a blank, emotionless end to a story of pain. Sometimes the absence of meaning is the most chilling message. His final request remains memorable for its stark simplicity. Ronnie Lee Gardner's last meal was more than food. It was an experience. He requested lobster tail, steak, apple pie, vanilla ice cream, and to watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy. For 2 days, Gardner immersed himself in fantasy, escaping reality before his execution. The meal was lavish, the setting surreal, a man on death row, feasting and binge-watching epic battles. Was it comfort, distraction, or a final act of control? Gardner's request turned the last meal into a personal ritual of escape. In his final hours, he chose not contemplation, but adventure. Sometimes the last meal is about leaving reality behind. Some last meals are powerful acts of protest. Lawrence Russell Brewer was executed in Texas, and he requested a feast so massive that it was impossible to finish: steaks, burgers, pizza, ice cream, and more. But when the meal arrived, he pointedly refused to eat a single bite. It was a calculated act of defiance, intentionally forcing the state to waste time and resources. Outraged, Texas swiftly ended the tradition of special last meals for all condemned inmates. Brewer's untouched banquet became a stark symbol of protest and consequence. He didn't just refuse his meal, he effectively changed the system. Sometimes the last meal is a weapon, and certainly not a comfort. Stephen Michael Woods Jr., facing his final moments, was granted the traditional last meal request. He chose a feast straight from the heart of a classic American diner, a culinary journey back to simpler times. The centerpiece of his request: 2 pounds of crispy smoky bacon followed by a hot, cheesy pizza, golden, perfectly fried chicken, juicy burgers and crispy fries, warm, buttery garlic bread, and a comforting bowl of ice cream, all washed down with a variety of classic sodas. It was a nostalgic symphony of flavors. Unlike Brewer's protest, Woods's request seemed genuine, a heartfelt desire, a final indulgence in the simple pleasures of comfort food, a last taste of freedom. Each item on his list evoked memories of late-night food runs, those spontaneous adventures, and the simple pleasures of shared meals and easy conversation. The meal was a celebration of the everyday, a reminder of the small joys that make up a life, a taste of the life he'd lost, the experiences he would no longer have. No hidden symbolism, just honest enjoyment, a pure and simple appreciation for the flavors. In the sterile, isolating world of death row, he recreated the warmth and familiarity of a bustling diner, a place of connection and comfort. For Woods, it was one last trip to the diner, a mental escape, a final embrace of the ordinary, a moment of normalcy in the face of the extraordinary. Sometimes the most human choice, the most profound statement is the simplest one, the one that connects us to our shared experiences. His meal was a reminder of life's small joys, the everyday moments that make it worth living. Odell Barnes Jr. made a last meal request that transcended food. Convicted of murder, he maintained his innocence and instead of a meal asked for justice, equality, and world peace. His request was a rejection of the ritual, a final, powerful statement. By asking for ideals, Barnes turned his last meal into a message for the world. He declined the standard prison fare, facing execution on an empty stomach. His final act was not to eat, but to protest. Sometimes the most profound requests are impossible to fulfill. Barnes's last meal was an idea, a plea for a better world. From a single olive to a plea for justice, these last meals are more than historical footnotes. They reveal the final flicker of personality, hope, or defiance in those facing the end. Each choice offers a rare glimpse into the human mind at its most vulnerable. These stories force us to consider what we might choose in our final moments. Even in the most controlled circumstances, the human spirit finds a way to express itself. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Please subscribe and like for more unknown facts. Until next time, remember, even the last meal can tell a story.